We want to understand the nature of reality. Over 2,000 years ago, Plato explained the nature of reality in the Allegory of the Cave, but only in the last 25 years or so has it become possible to understand reality in scientific terms. This recently discovered scientific explanation is called the holographic principle of quantum gravity. What the holographic principle says is that the world we appear to live in is a holographic world that can be reduced to bits of information encoded on a holographic screen. The holographic principle says that everything an observer can observe in its own holographic world can be reduced to information encoded on its own holographic screen. This means that the holographic world an observer perceives is just like a computer-generated virtual reality. Everything the observer can observe in its own holographic world is like a holographic image projected from its own holographic screen to its own point of view. The holographic principle has a nearly perfect correspondence with the explanation Plato gave in the Allegory of the Cave. Plato described a holographic world as a cave and a holographic screen that projects images of that world as the wall of the cave. Plato described those projected holographic images as shadows cast on the wall of the cave. Those projected images are always perceived by a perceiver, which can be understood as the consciousness present at the central point of view of its own holographic world. Plato called the perceiver a prisoner when the perceiver identifies itself with the form of a person that appears in that holographic world. In reality, the form of a person is only another projected image, and the perceiver is the consciousness present at the central point of view of its own holographic world. In reality, the perceiver has its own independent existence as a presence of consciousness at the central point of view of its own holographic world. There is only an illusion that the existence of the perceiver depends upon an image of a person that it perceives in that holographic world. The image of a person that appears in a holographic world is just like the image of an avatar that appears in a computer-generated virtual reality, like the Matrix. That's why Plato called the perceiver of the image a prisoner when the perceiver identifies itself with the image. Just as Plato told us in the Allegory of the Cave, the holographic principle is telling us that the holographic world we perceive is no more real than a computer-generated virtual reality, just like the Matrix. Only the presence of consciousness that perceives that holographic world from the central point of view of that world has its own independent reality. This is the inevitable conclusion of the holographic principle. A more complete scientific explanation of what the holographic principle is telling us about the nature of reality can be found at the Science and Non-Duality WordPress website.